Welcome to Candidate Speakout. I am State Senator Laurie Monnes Anderson, and today I would like to talk to you about small businesses. I have invited Doug Jensen to be with me to tell us about how his business formed, why he's in Gresham, and how he has been doing through this recession that we've been in. In the legislature, we have passed a number of economic development bills, 40 in 2010 and over 20 in 2012. But I feel it's far more important if we take a look at a local business that is doing their business here. We've passed legislation for wine growers, we've passed legislation for breweries, we've passed legislation to provide incentives to hire veterans. We've passed so many bills, but when it comes down to it, we are in tough economic times, and we're slowly getting out of this recession. But let's talk to Doug Jensen. He is president of Jensen Manufacturing, located here in Gresham. He graduated from Oregon State, got his master's from University of Oregon, and I'm sorry.
Go Ducks!
He went to, got his master's and has been the president of Jensen Manufacturing since 1991. So Doug, just tell us how long you've lived in Oregon and where you grew up and how you got into the business.
I've basically been in Northeast Portland, which kind of is where we are now, in my entire life. I now live on Mount Scott, but I grew up on 4th Avenue, which is out close to Union Avenue. We moved from there to 42nd and Columbia Boulevard as a business, and 39th and Portland Boulevard as a home, and then finally we moved the company, which started on Union and Morgan, to 42nd Columbia, and then out here to Gresham. So we've been in business since 1927. I've lived in Oregon my entire life, other than my tours on active duty, and my time has always been, and also when I was in Eugene, obviously, but my time has always been in Northeast, and I'm a webfoot with, I got webs between my toes. It's the way I am.
Well, so Jensen Manufacturing, you said, started in 1927. And so that was your grandfather?
My grandfather started the business. He actually worked for a company down in the Johns Landing area that the accountant for the company absconded with the funds from the company, and so the company closed down, and he was the foreman, and they sent him home with his tools and said, sorry, we can't keep going. And so he started Jensen Suburban Upholstery from that point on.
So what do you manufacture?
We manufacture restaurant and lounge seating, upholstered products. So it's like anything upholstered, but it's primary booths, like for casinos, restaurants, lounges, that sort of thing. We did, as a matter of fact, right down the street, we did Heidi's down here on the corner, just down 4 blocks from where we are right now.
So as you've expanded your business, obviously you've expanded your business, what have been the barriers for growth?
The biggest problems that I think we've had have been, to a certain degree, it's been regulation. It's been, and probably one of the things that irritates me the most is that we have a tendency in the city and in the state to try to go out and find some outside industry that wants to move here and give them tax discounts. But we don't want to give discounts for companies who have been here. I mean, if you've been here for 50 years or 75 years like we have, we don't get a discount for being here. But the company that wants to move here, they go, oh, hey, we'll give you a discount. We'll give you a tax break to move in.
That's a very good point, because what we have been doing in the state legislature is passing legislation that sets up grants and loans for businesses, particularly small businesses like you. And I think that we are now trying to address those businesses that are already here. And so thanks for pointing pointing that out to us. Is there any other barriers?
The barriers that we have seem to be, and I don't mean to be down on Oregon, but Washington seems like it's easier to work with Washington because they've got a much cleaner system. You work with them, everything's fine. Logically, if I was to move my business, I would move it to Washington. I'm an Oregonian, and I'd have to move it to Seattle because that's where a lot of business is for us, is in Seattle. But I'm an Oregonian, and my family's in Oregon. I'm going to stay here. That's the way it's going to be, and I'll put up with some of the restrictions. But bottom line, we looked at years ago at moving over just across the river over to Battleground area, and had actually purchased a piece of property over there. Due to some constraints, we didn't ever develop there, and we wound up moving east because we wound up having a really good building out here in Gresham, and quite honestly, the relationship we've had with Gresham has been excellent. It's been a nice community to work with, and we've enjoyed the people here and the business community, the government community out here has been very, very good to work with.
Oh, that's so good to hear. It seems like then you export some of your product, or a lot of your product, out of state then.
Well, actually, most of our product goes out of state. Probably 75%, 70% of our product goes out of state. We do a large amount of business into the Nevada area, particularly into Vegas. We've got jobs we've actually got a couple of restaurants in Japan. We've got one in New Zealand. We've got one in Russia. We've got several in Hawaii. But our primary market is probably Oregon, Washington is the primary market. Since the recession hit, the slide down in our customer base has hurt us very badly because some of our customers who used to deal into Las Vegas haven't found that there's a market there that there used to be, and that's caused us to have a fallback in our market. But we've got enough of diversity that we've been able to sustain fairly well.
That's great. So the recession has impacted your business.
Oh, severely. At one point in time, we were down, in employment-wise, probably down 40% of our employees were on layoff. We've got all our employees back except for one who left and went to work elsewhere, and one who we currently have working part-time. But everybody else is working full-time and back on the system.
Well, that's so good to hear, and I hope that a lot of these businesses that have been struggling are going to be coming out of this. I often hear from small business owners that they have trouble finding skilled workers. How do you find and train your employees? Because I know your employees stay a long time. You don't have much turnover at all, so you must pay your employees well.
Well, we have two things. One is we're a union company and we enjoy being union. We establish the market on what union scale is in the Northwest because we're basically the only, to the best of my knowledge, we're the only remaining union company in the commercial market in the Northwest. And we have employees who have been with us since the 70s that are still doing upholstery work. Several of them have been, like I say, with us since the 70s. And we actually took over an upholstery company that was also located here in Gresham, which is one of the reasons we moved out here, that we have several of their employees that we took over are old union employees, and so now they're with us. And so we've got a real good group of people, and they enjoy the benefits. We enjoy having the experience. As far as training people, we bring people in. We typically hire through a manpower agency of some kind and bring people in. It gives us two benefits. One is we see them, they see us. We make sure that there's a good fit before they get into the union, before we get into a contractual relationship. But once we're together, we train them ourselves, and they've been, like I say, we've got people that virtually every employee we have is trained either by us or by Alexander's, who was the company that was before us.
Well, that's great, because we need to make sure that our workforce is very well trained for businesses, but you have the opportunity to do that yourself. Can you tell me how Oregon can be more friendly to small businesses to promote growth? I think you've already alluded to that.
A little bit of reduction in some of the regulations that go on, some of the restrictions, some of the paper filings that we have to do. I got a deal in the mail just here in the last couple of days, where it was I've got a contractor's license. Now, why I have a contractor's license, I really don't know, but that's okay. I've got one. But now I got a notification that they've passed a new regulation that says we've got to have X number of 100 hours worth of training to go on to have a contractor's license. I build a product, I carry it to a job site, and I drop it off. But I got to have a contractor's license to drop it off. It's a strange deal, but it's the way it is.
I think that we can, I think these types of issues, this is why I like to talk with small businesses, to point out specific issues that really are maybe a barrier to how you can perform your business. So you need to let me know that. I have to wrap up now, but thank you so much, Doug, for being with me. I think it's critical for those of us in the legislature to be talking to you more so that we can learn what can make the business environment in this state better so that you can have a very successful business. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.